Hello, welcome back to Gardening with Calyx. I am Thelma, and I have a question for you. Can your garden survive a Category 4 hurricane? Well, that's a topical question because our garden just did. And the last video, some of you, the regular viewers, would recall that we did a pre-hurricane video showing you how to prepare your garden to withstand as much as possible the harmful effects of strong winds as well as lots of rain. Well, Hurricane Beryl passed through the Caribbean a few days ago. It did a lot of damage to the smaller islands in the Eastern Caribbean, some of where I have my family members. So we all in the Caribbean are essentially one family, and we really feel it for our brothers and sisters in the other islands. Well, it was Jamaica's turn about 4 days ago, and although we were prepared, this was the first time we were experiencing a hurricane in this garden, and it was something to behold. We're going to show you some clips of the effects of the storm while the storm was pounding the trees, and we're also, of course, going to reveal some of the impacts and a bit of the resuscitation work that we've already started. So please keep watching. Thanks for staying and welcome back. Let me get out of the way while I show you some scenes from the hurricane. Oh, wait, let me see. Oh dear. Whoa, you should see the trees. Oh. Truth be told, everything is in misery. Hey, but hydrangeas, it seems to be all right. There you go. Beryl continued like that for many hours. Actually, it seemed like forever, but it was only 6 hours. It lasted from about 1 o'clock in the afternoon to 6 or 7 o'clock. Luckily, that was during the daylight hours, so it really wasn't quite as panicky as if it were in the night, because the sound of the roaring of the wind through the trees, don't want to hear that anytime soon. And as we showed you in the introduction, there was quite a bit of impact. So let me segue to that section and take you over into the trellis area. This is where we keep our more delicate plants, the ferns, the anthuriums, a few orchids, as well as other plants, all looking lovely before the storm. But immediately after the storm, this is what the area looked like. It looks like pure confusion and a lot of damage. But let me be honest, a lot of this we created before the storm, because in order to protect the delicate plants, we placed the smaller ones under the stands, laid the larger ones on their sides, and packed others between taller plants. And this avoidance strategy really worked. The trellis is really designed to protect your more delicate plants, as we have here, the anthuriums, the orchids, the ferns, etc. And it helps if it is located in an area that is protected from the elements. And Hurricane Beryl really demonstrated that this works, because the entire structure remained intact because it had a protection at the back, And because we hid the plants from the storm, they survived beautifully. But the same cannot be said for the other areas. Let's move on to the food garden. As I approach the food garden, you'll see in the background our solar system, and that's a lifesaver because given all the damage around, all the high tension wires that are down, nobody is promising us when the electricity will be returned. So we can still soldier along until then. But as you can see, we'll have to soldier along without too much food from the garden. Admittedly, most of the beds were in a resting situation, but there are two beds that we have small seedlings, corn seedlings coming up. So that's the next stage of food production for the garden. Luckily, our last crop, we still have a lot of it saved in the freezer, and we're good. The pawpaw trees went, even the baby ones, I don't know what will happen to them. The bananas are still here. There are 3 of them, luckily. So we will expect fruits in due course. The smaller trees, the jabos, are intact. So all in all, this area is not as bad as it could have been. The nursery area, which has always been protected by these fruit trees, I guess the direction of the storm at one point meant that a lot of these branches were taken out. Now, that's one of the things I wish I had done, prune this ackee tree before the storm. Now with all of this jagged edges, we'll have to definitely bring it much lower down and start training it as a smaller plant, a smaller tree at that point. The avocado tree had just started giving us fruits. We did do some preventive pruning with the taller branches, but we lost a few more branches, and I would say at least 90% of the fruits. If you want pears, look at them. In our neighborhood, there are so many fruit trees that are down that I guess we're blessed to have anything left standing. Actually, if you look across the way, that house has been unoccupied for quite a while, and it's no surprise that it did not handle the force of the hurricane very well. Hold on, let me get a few more avocados before I take you back to the front garden. Here's a section of the boundary hedge that we have always used as privacy screen and wind protection. There is Don peeping through, wondering what I'm doing outside. But the pandanus, which is the main plant we have here, the plant that gives the hedge the strength, there were a few holes, a few, I guess, weak areas where the wind had to escape, and that it did. But all in all, that hedge was our lifesaver in the front garden. Ah, there is Don again. I think it's his way of telling me it's time I came into the front garden to show you the impact of Beryl on the various plants that are in this space. And yeah, this is not the first time I'm seeing it, but it is still really rather fresh in my emotions that all of the hard work seemed to have been set back a little bit. But the overview, the garden is still, I would say, about 70% intact. The precautions we took, such as pruning some of the shrubs, the orchids, some of the trees, I think they paid off in that. Looking at this one, the orchids, yeah, that bed looks rather bare, but I can tell you I have all the planting materials I need to reestablish it. Looking at the hydrangeas nestled under the sago palms, I mean, amazing the extent to which those sago palms provided a windbreak. This is the direction from which the storm came in the first half, and looking back at some of the damage, it's obvious that the hedge, again, I'm saying thankfully the thick hedge, the combination of plants provided quite a windbreak. The amaryllis plants, being amongst the lowest plants around, they were very well shielded. So minimal damage to the amaryllis. But everybody who's in tropical farming knows that the banana plants are likely to be the first that go. And no exception here. The large clump we had that went, There you're looking at it. All of the mother plants came down along with 2 fruits. But since there are 3 followers in the roots, we are expecting that we will be able to recover probably in a year's time. Moving on up the slope, here is the soursop tree that I opened the video with. And I'm freezing the image here so you can take a closer look at the roots. This was a rather large tree. I think it had gotten to about 20 feet tall in the 5 years it was growing in this space. And on examination now, very shallow root system. No sign of the deep taproot that these trees need to anchor themselves. And that's mainly because it was a rocky location, so impeded root growth. You try a thing, but Mother Nature has a way of correcting your mistakes. Now, the collateral damage here, the anthuriums, which were growing very happily in this little microclimate, the shady area that we had created with trees as well as intertwining bougainvilleas. And with their removal now, I'm expecting some sun damage in the days and weeks to come. We'll be focusing our activities over the next few months on recovery and resuscitation because, after all, we'd like to return the garden to its pre-Beryl state. And taking a look back at the front garden, you'll see that most of the elements are still in place, so it should not take us that long to get it back into tip-top shape. And up the hill I go to share with you how our pet project, our amaryllis project, fared during the storm. And what you're looking at here is one of the main precautions we took was to lay the potted plants on their side, essentially stacking them so that the wind would just go smoothly over their tops. Now, this area you could see has a few trees that also served as windbreaks. The amaryllis plants in the beds, of course, could not be laid down. And take note of the fact that we got flowers during the storm. Isn't that lovely? But the amaryllis, the strategy of laying the amaryllis, those the small ones on their side, really worked. And at this point, I would say that the amaryllis plants have withstood the storm brilliantly. So I've come near to the end of the video. It is overcast. Actually, it's been overcast throughout most of the filming of this video. And you can understand that we're still in the aftermath of the storm. And as we look around, we take encouragement from the fact that a lot of what we had been doing all along helped to minimize the impact of the storm. And we will treat with that in another video. But we really, the best part of the entire exercise, the best lesson I learned is how resilient amaryllis is. Look at these. These were just starting to come out a few days before the storm, and I'm really, really impressed, amazed that one, the stalk was not blown down, and look at these lovely flowers. This one, yes, there's a little damage on this one, poor guy, but the rest of the plant, this triple, this is Ice Queen, I think, one of the new amaryllis varieties we're hoping to expand, and it too just stayed there. So whereas a hurricane or any strong storm is a traumatic experience for all concerned, there are occasions that we find that boost our spirits, and I just mentioned the amaryllis. The other aspect is that we view this as a challenge to, I guess, return to the garden construction phase, to make the changes that were indicated as a result of the storm, and to continue to develop the Calyx garden, because we're really committed to sharing the knowledge, sharing the experiences, so that we can all benefit, and in due course, because we're going to be getting many more of these storms. So we really need to know how best to prepare so that the damage is minimized over time. Now, if you like this video, please give us a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and if you have not subscribed as yet, we're asking you please to do so. As I mentioned, and I will keep saying it, we are here to share our knowledge, and we would like to share it with as many persons as possible. So until the next video, I am Thelma in the Calyx garden, saying thanks for watching, take care, and bye-bye.